Hello, and welcome to the Emotional Endurance Movement. This week's episode is dedicated to your one friend who's always at least very real about how they're coping, avoiding it, numbing it, pretending it's not really a problem, and just calling myself a little bitch for struggling. You know the one.
Oh, I know the one.
Hello, and welcome to the Emotional Endurance Movement, the only mental health variety show that actually wants you to build a little bit of emotional endurance alongside us. I am Lori Sharp Page, your Chief Coping Officer and co host, and here with me is our behaviorist at large and someone willing to show me their tears earlier this morning. And I appreciate that from you. It's Crimson McDonald.
Howdy, y'all.
Now that I put you on blast for crying,
I
I guess we should
mean,
get
no
into
shame.
it.
Yeah,
No
no
shame,
shame.
no shame. Life be life in. Absolutely. This week, we're talking about the feeling of burnout and the coping skill of identifying your leaky pipes. So, with that being said, what's our insight of the week, Crimson?
So this week, I brought one of my favorite organizational psychologist quotes to us. And yes, I have a favorite organizational psychologist, which is probably the nerdiest statement I've made in my entire life. But regardless, our antidote to burnout is not necessarily less work. It could be more meaning. And this hit me so hard because I wanted to bring burnout to the table, but not like the burnout we always talk about. Not I'm doing too much work. I'm working 60 hours a week. I'm running my kids. I wanted to talk about burnout outside of the concept of doing too much. I really think Adam Grant is onto something because I don't think burnout's always just a workload problem. I actually think it might be an investment problem. And I say this with love because I think I do this more than most. We invest in things that don't give back to us. Like I have many examples in my life at the same organization, right? When I worked in advertising, I worked at an agency. It was still owned by the founding members. I worked 60 to 80 hours a week. I didn't even notice it, Lori. It was so much fun. And then the corporate ownership got traded, leadership changed, and those 60 to 80 hours became the most resentful, toxic time I spent. I would be drained and depleted every day. And the work expectation didn't change. The culture changed. What I got in return, the value equation changed. And I see this now. I work on campaigns, as you know, and depending on who the candidate is, that really makes it whether it's burns me out or it's exhilarating. And so to me, burnout hasn't always been correlated with the hours or the effort. It's more correlated with what I'm getting in return. Like I'm putting so much in, and if I'm getting a lot back, it's fine. But the burnout for me hits when I'm dumping in and there's just nothing coming back.
100%. Absolutely. I mean, the cost benefit changes if you're not getting anything back a lot. So, yeah, it makes total sense. And I think this is culturally where if you think we're very burned out overall is because the institutions that people have poured into and work to uphold are showing that they're not working to support in a way that is indicative of being like meaningful or helpful or sometimes just like not cruel, you know?
Right.
So I do think there's a lot to do with meaning. And I would argue that burnout is actually an emotional problem. It is an emotional problem. And I think it is ultimately a stymieing of your motivation and your executive functioning due to lack of meaning, reinforcement, ownership that is ultimately resulting in learned helplessness. Right? What is the point?
Absolutely. I saw it with my husband in his business and his career. He's had the same job for 15 years, and the burnout cycles do not match with the ebbs and flows of the business, right? It matches with the
Yep.
other dynamics. And it shows that, like, if you want the longevity in anything, careers, relationships, I mean, name it, part of that is accepting the ebbs and flows.
For
But
sure.
I think what we do poorly as a society and as individuals is naming it. You aren't burned out for working 70 hours a week. You're burned out because you're beating your head against the wall, against something you don't want to do.
Right. So I would say the issue is that we're investing in systems that don't support us.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's part of the conversation I hope we have with today's episode, is to get people to think about what sort of systems are they investing in when it comes to how they're taking care of themselves and within their control. What kind of situations are you putting yourself in? You know,
Right.
sometimes we have to be at that space that is a really toxic environment. And sometimes you have the privilege of saying, whoa, like this is pretty toxic and it no longer aligns with my values and I'm going to walk away. People are at many different parts on that spectrum as far as like how they handle the environment. And I want to really speak to the fact that you have agency to create more meaning in your life. You have agency to create more motivation. You have agency to create more boundaries. And all of those things, plus many others, will help to alleviate somewhat, maybe not completely, but somewhat of that sense of burnout. Because I think when people feel burned out, they feel often very collapsed, like nothing they do matters or that there's no
Right.
hope. And this is really where I hope our episode today, we can get people to think about what are the things that they're contributing to that are causing their systems to not be able to support them in whatever the situation is, within reason. Some things are in your control and some things are very much out of your control. But I can guarantee, I've seen this in myself, I've seen this with many clients over the years. We all make self-sabotaging behaviors with our coping. And those things can be costing us a
Right.
lot. And if we have no other ownership or agency in our lives, we have ownership and agency over those things, and they can be shifted.
Exactly. When I first was thinking about like the leaky pipe, the burnout in this way, there's things like laundry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
that's not the point, right? It's like taxes don't fill your cup, laundry doesn't fill your cup. A lot of the
Yeah.
meetings you have in a day don't fill their
Aren't
cup.
gonna fill
They're
that cup.
No, I mean, the problem isn't that life has these drains. It's when your whole life becomes the drain that you can't
Exactly.
sustain it anymore.
Yep. But we're here to help you build some additional skills to identify those leaky pipes, as we say, and help you rebuild some new systems to support you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for bringing that insight of the week, Crimson. I loved it. And now it's time for our feeling of the week, which, as we mentioned, is burnout. Burnout is a particular bitch, I have to say. One of my least favorite feelings, and one that I have pretty much encountered multiple times throughout my adult life. And each time I swear, never again. And each time it comes back around. But burnout is a particular type of exhaustion where you feel like nothing you do is good enough, and also you just feel like crap all the time. It reminds me a lot of a symptom of depression that we often don't talk about, anhedonia, which is a loss of meaning or interest or pleasure in things, which people with severe depression often have. And burnout, to me, having been lucky enough to experience both flavors of both anhedonia and burnout, they feel very similar. I wouldn't quite call them the exact same thing. I would say there's maybe a little bit more hope with burnout, if that's like maybe a crazy thing to say. But yeah, burnout is a feeling that is present, accounted for. I think all of us are feeling this as geopolitical tensions continue to be what the fuck they are gonna be. They continue to be. I think people are feeling very much like, what is the point? Where is the hope? And why are we all continuing to work within a system that is acting so recklessly? But I digress and I speak of my own burnout, and I will stop burning everybody out by talking about my own burnout now.
I think that is such a core piece of it too, is that we can't control all variables. There's a global burnout right now, I think, for a lot of us. It's exhausting just living in this
Existing.
24-hour
Yeah.
news cycle. It's an exhausting time where it's easy to get burned out. But
Yep.
that's why it's important to talk about how we prevent us from getting this far down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we talk about how to find your leaky pipes and all of that fun stuff, I think we should do a little show and tell about what is burning us out right now. And Crimson, would you like to start?
Yes, Lori, but I am totally going off script here
Okay.
because I was planning this and I realized that I'm going to say something positive instead of talking about all the ways I've been burned out because that's easy. So I had a friend, as you know, I worked with her for 7 years, which is a long time for me to work with anyone. And we worked at a small law firm. She was 20 years older. And Barbara became not just a best friend, she was a mentor. She saw things in me that I don't think I saw when I was young. She hit me at an influential age. I was figuring out who Adult Crimson was, and I felt like she kind of coached me through it. I lost her in 2019 to ALS. So she also taught me about death, unfortunately, because I was very blessed to have not had lost anyone that close to me until I lost Barbara. So I went outside. I keep a hibiscus bush, which in the Midwest is hard to keep alive. So it goes dormant and I had to take it back outside. But I go out there and the first bloom came out. And I was thinking about this episode. I was thinking about burnout. I was thinking about what we were talking about, the geoeconomic, socioeconomic, political world we live in, how I just feel like I'm constantly being triggered. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. And I'm so exhausted that I know I have to start being very intentional about where I put my energy to keep myself from getting to a burnout phase that's hard to come back from. And when I looked at that hibiscus, I was reminded of two things. One, Barbara didn't believe in burnout. And that's interesting because she would be like, get your shit together. This is adulthood. There's no burning out. But the reason she could say that and mean it was Barbara did something, and this is why I realized I was drawn to her and why I looked up to her. Is Barbara was 20 years ahead of me and had figured out you only put in energy to the things that are worth it. You prevent burnout by choosing what you invest in. She didn't get caught up in the drama. I remember she was the president of the Boosters Club, and there was like always drama. And she rose above every time. She never engaged. And now I realize she was protecting her peace. She was choosing what to put into based on what she got out of it. And if it was drama, if it was toxicity, if it was hate, she didn't do it with no shame. And so I wanted to bring that story because it's a different side of burnout, because she modeled how to not live a life. She never was like, oh, I'm exhausted. But she was president of Booster. She was a fully engaged mom. She worked full time. She was a good friend to me. She was a good wife. She was doing it all. And she never came to work depleted. She never was, oh, I'm so exhausted, I'm burned out. She'd get in a fight with her sibling or have to deal with her father aging. I watched her. She was literally my age when I met her. And I watched her going through the things I'm going through, and she never complained. And it wasn't toxic positivity. It was she protected her peace because she invested in the things that didn't burn her out. She kept her cup full for the things that would burn her out. And then most of all, the reason it made me think of Barbara is because when I think about things, you put things in and get stuff out. That was one relationship. I don't think I had to put anything in other than showing up. And I got so much out of it. So I thought there was just so much about Barbara that represented the burnout we were talking about today, which is the burnout that is unnecessary because life is full of leaky pipes. You're going to get burned out if you don't protect it and make it just a constant drain. That's my
Totally.
show and tell.
Oh, thank you for sharing about Barbara. I always like hearing about her.
You got to meet Barbara, didn't you?
I don't think that I did.
At
I
my
don't think that
wedding?
I did.
Wedding
Maybe, yeah,
festivities?
maybe at your wedding. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
I also have an older lady friend, Barbara, who passed away, who was a mentor to me. That one day I'll talk about her on the show too. Barbara's for the win. Well, my burnout, I was going to actually talk about something silly and small that's burning me out that I'm actually really struggling with. As you know, I broke my leg and life is like just harder because of it. And I'm getting better every day. Things are getting better, but it added a layer that like I wasn't expecting. And one of the things that added a layer on, I got my hairbrush here, was like personal hygiene and being able to take care of myself and my body and stuff. And what is often like a coping skill for me to be able to take a nice long shower or do like my skincare or like do my hair nice and stuff has become over the last like 3 weeks like pretty difficult. And it really was making me feel really, really burned out by the whole experience because there's something about like when you're not able to take care of yourself that's just really
Exhausting.
sobering. It's a tough feeling. Yeah. I will say, like, it's given me some new compassion, some new understanding, a reminder, really, once again, because this is not the first time I've gotten hurt in my adult life. But, I think that we often think about burnout as like, oh, I'm at this awful job. And it's, sometimes it's really small stuff, like not being able to shower and take care of yourself like you normally do and feeling really, just burned out by doing anything in that space. Even the smallest things are such a drag on you. And especially if that's something that is usually a cup filler. I think those things particularly are quite jarring when they shift something that was a cup filler to like now a cup drainer. And that happens. And I'll be better soon and hopefully back to feeling it. But it has been an unexpected challenge since I fell and broke my leg. But I miss being able to enjoy that. I miss that being part of my routine and something that I was able to do with ease. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that. Oh, and that's why I look like
Absolutely.
crap in all my current TikTok videos. I should have led with that.
Well, and I mean, and what you bring to the table also makes me think of people with chronic pain. I mean,
Yeah.
talking about burnout, that's a whole nother episode we'll get to. But I think chronic pain falls in that category of just taking for granted the easy stuff.
Yep. Absolutely. And now it's time for this week's skill of the week. And you've heard us talking about it all episode. It is now time to talk about those leaky pipes. Leaky pipes are patterns, people, environments, vibes, anything that you engage with that maybe gives you short-term comfort, but costs you more in the long term. So some of these, it's things like doom scrolling or drinking that glass of wine that turns into 2 bottles of wine, or spending so much time just venting to your coworkers about all the things going on in your personal life that you don't actually have time to get your work done. Like things like that just end up, they might feel good in the moment, but they take more from you. They cause more for you to cope with down the road. We are trying to help you illuminate and see, what are you doing? And are those things actually beneficial to you? So I want to take you through a quick exercise here. And Crimson, I hope you follow along with us and maybe tell us a little bit about your experience of doing this exercise after, if you're comfortable. But the first thing is, I want you to think about, what is your number one stress habit that you do as soon as something stressful happens? What do you do? Okay.
Do you want me to say
And
it out loud?
now, yeah, if you want to, yeah, what do you do?
Cry. I
Well,
mean,
crying is a coping skill.
cry, but also like the urgency thing kicks in, like have to fix it.
Yeah. Fix it. Fix it. Gotta fix it. Gotta
Yeah,
resolve it right
right
now.
now.
Can't sit in the discomfort of it, right? Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, yeah. Totally. 100%. Do you think that strategy, and here's the second part of the exercise, do you think that strategy actually fills your cup up more or drains you?
Oh, it absolutely drains me. And that's where this is contagious. Like it completely turns my whole family upside down. Like the house blows up because like in that moment I have to find my key. And if you are on
Yes.
board on the mission, then you're against me and I am evil.
Yeah. So what do you think would be more cup filling, more energy giving instead of going on a rampage? My words, not yours.
Mm,
Uh, so
accurate.
feel free to tell me I'm
Accurate.
wrong. Okay. All right. Fair enough. What would fill your cup more than going on a rampage? What would be the alternative response?
Reflecting on 43 years of experience and knowing that it's gonna be okay. Take a deep
Yeah.
breath,
Take a deep
prioritize,
breath.
think about
Respond
it,
to the challenge versus
respond, not
react to it.
react.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, Lori.
Well, dang, that nervous system's a hell of a thing. I've been through mine with, oh man, it's so humbling to be an expert on emotional endurance, because when it ripples through your life, you're like, oh, there it is.
Mhm.
There's the thing I talk to people about. And it is hard to, there is almost like taming, almost seems like the wrong word, but I do think there's like a taming to it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to turn it all the way down. We don't want to ignore it. We don't want to say it's not an amazing thing, because it is. And also, sometimes we just need to say, like, okay, but like this response, this reaction, this urgency is actually only causing more ripples of things that I and everybody else is going to have to cope with, and creating more emotional mess and clutter. And if I could just take a second to take a deep breath and sit in the discomfort of it, doesn't mean it's going to go easier, or that there are not going to be any more hiccups, or I'm not going to have to ask for help, or that it's going to be done immediately, or like whatever. But like, I can not make this a bigger emotional mess than it needs to be. And that is the leaky pipe, identifying things that are costing you way more emotionally than you need to pay.
Yeah. I think I see it everywhere. Like once you use that term to me, I can see it everywhere. I have a lot of leaky pipes in my life. And some are unavoidable and
Yep.
some can be closed. And that's where the work comes in.
And some can be redirected away from. Not everyone can, but some you can say, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that anymore. So keep an eye out for those leaky pipes, everybody. Everybody has them and they shift and they change through time. But just being aware of them and then working with them, honestly, will give you way more relief than you realize. Because the problem with the leaky pipe is that it's constant. And if you can
Always.
reduce that frequency even a little bit, you've saved yourself a lot of energy that you need for all the other things, right?
Yeah. The unavoidable leaky pipes.
The unavoidable leaky pipes. Now it is time for this week's game of the week, and we are going to play a game called Luxury or Leak. I am going to spin the picker wheel, and we're going to say, if this happened in our life, would this be indicative of us just taking a little extra care of ourselves and giving us some luxury, or indicative of a system breakdown where there's a leaky pipe underneath? Ready, Crimson?
Yes, let's do this. I have no idea what we're
All
doing, but let's do
right.
it.
Spin the wheel. Sleeping in until noon on a Saturday. Luxury or leak?
Luxury. Absolutely.
Luxury. Yeah, luxury
Yeah.
for me
I
too.
mean, if my
Yeah.
body could do that, that would be amazing.
Oh, this one. Buying another planner. Luxury or leak?
Absolutely. That means I'm failing at so many things that I'm just trying
It's
to
such
throw
a
money
leak.
at the problem.
Yeah. I feel like me buying a new planner is like a good symptomatic base for like I must be either heading into or presently into a new depressive episode, especially a paper planner. I've learned this lesson. This does not work for me. I'm just buying it because I'm trying to feel something.
Performative fix.
Performative planner. That's what it is. Quitting a committee.
Oh, that's hard. It depends on the committee.
Yeah. I would say it's a luxury, honestly. If you've invested something for you to walk away, that usually is not something that people take lightly. So I would say luxury.
Yeah, I would say luxury. I've never ran away from a problem really. But if that were to say joining a committee, that might be a leaky pipe. Everyone should join a board. It's a great experience.
Great experience.
Give back to your community. Give back to an organization.
Oh, this is a good one. Ordering DoorDash 3 nights in a row.
I mean, that's hard too. I want to say it's leaking because that just means our life's chaotic. And I'm failing
I would say
at
leak
meal
for sure.
planning.
3 nights in a row, like we're reacting to dinner time at this moment in time.
Mhm.
And sometimes when I got hurt, but this was also a little luxury because my uncle sent us a Venmo so we could order dinner one night when I was hurt.
Oh.
But like we ordered it like 2 nights. And like in that case, that was definitely like a luxury, but like that was 2 nights, not 3.
Right. And it's
3, I would be
circumstantial.
like, something is up. My kitchen probably is destroyed. Something is going on.
Yeah, no, I would say 3 nights in a row. That's when it's probably a systematic issue.
This is a great one to end one. Taking a mental health day. I would say if it gets to the point that you need a mental health day, for me at least, there's probably a leak going on. When my grandma passed away, like I needed some time off of work. You could probably call that a mental health day, although it's probably more of a bereavement. But for me, I think if I'm taking a mental health day, if things have kind of stacked up that much, there's a leak going on.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think I've taken one of those since I worked in corporate America. So maybe I have a problem. I don't know.
All right, well, that was a fun game. Thank you, Picker Wheel, as always, for being so annoying. We love you.
We
Sponsor
love you,
us.
free service that we complain about.
And that's all for this week's episode of the Emotional Endurance Movement. I hope you thought a little bit more about how burnout may be presenting in your life, and more importantly, about how leaky pipes may be causing you more pain than what's necessary. I want us to be able to talk about these things in a way that actually can help us alleviate some of the shame surrounding them, because there's nothing worse than being burned out and isolated, or seeing all your leaky pipes and having no idea how to get the support in fixing them. And that's why we're so glad that you joined us here today at the Emotional Endurance Movement. Make sure to like and subscribe for more great coping content like this. And we'll see you next week where you bring the feelings.
And we'll bring the games. Peace
Bye.
out.